We are recording. Okay. Gosh, I think this, you guys, is session 10. And how far you've come. It's early, let's say it's sort of mid-spring now, actually. And we find ourselves in the village of Saltwall after a daring, I wouldn't even call it an assault, a daring infiltration, a daring upending of a Corkeen camp. I'm just gonna get our in the village of Saltwall. And so you successfully captured all 8 of the members of this camp over here. And I think that's when we left it, is you had pulled that off. Everybody's taken into confinement. In fact, this area down here has been cleared out by the Venati and turned over entirely to basically a makeshift jail for the captives. There's only one way in via this very narrow stairway, so they're letting the humans kind of have the run of this place while Venati guards are guarding the stairwell. I guess this is all news you hear the next morning. The report comes from Admaya that that's what's going on. And that same morning, all of the stuff that was taken from the campsite is kind of gathered in at Maya's house. So that list of loot that I gave you, all that stuff is there. So I guess the first order of business is, I guess that morning you're probably with Maya and Locke in at Maya's place, discussing what's going to happen next, and the idea has been brought up, your idea of actually pursuing the word keepers who took away 3 villagers. 3 Venati villagers were taken, are being taken to prison or to judgment or something up north toward the capital, and they left 2 days ago. So you know that, and you last session you decided that you were going to pull a goat chase.
Yes.
And pursue these people on goat back. So I guess this is the meeting where you discuss that possibility with Maya and Locke and each other. You've already made the decision to do it. It's a question of, I guess, what preparations you're going to make before you go.
I mean, we should go as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And we should arm ourselves. Yeah, and we had talked about, we were taking 2 goat riders and the 3 of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Each one of you would be on a goat. So you're gonna have to travel somewhat light.
Yeah. Can a goat carry us at our weight capacity?
It can. Are you at your weight capacity right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm gonna offload some stuff as well.
I'm gonna say, what is Paiviki's weight capacity?
It's 11.
You can carry 11 before you get burdened.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yes. So
what's their weight capacity?
the goats?
Yeah.
That's what I'm figuring out. Their weight capacity is, we're gonna say, I'm gonna say 12. They're big goats for the Venati, but they're not. And you guys can actually, they're big enough for you to get on, but they're not like big beasts of burden. And they need to be able to move quickly if you guys want to actually catch up to these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for them to move at top speed, I'm gonna say I'm going to say each goat can carry, yeah, we'll say that much, and then you each basically take up. I'm going to say Taimi, and you think 4? I think 6. Well, I mean, let's see. Miriam and Taimi are not big people.
Oh, Jan.
No, Jan disappeared.
Jan's gone.
Maybe he unplugged, accidentally disconnected.
Jan.
Jan gone.
Maybe like 5 for Muirin and I, and 6 for Taimi.
Yeah, that 6 for Paviki. Yeah. Right? You said Muirin and I. 5.
Muirin and I are 5, and then Paviki is.
Yes.
Yeah, I said Taimi. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so that gives us 7 weight to play around with.
Yeah, so you and Muirin have 7 weight each, and hey, Jan.
Hey, Jan.
Welcome back. We're just saying that given everybody's weight and the goat's capacity, that Paviki can carry 6 weight units on her goat. That's after Paviki's weight is incorporated into the goat's capacity. So,
can you say that again, Jason? I dropped my connection for a moment.
Yeah, we've just determined that Paviki's goat can carry Paviki and 6 more weight units.
Okay.
So you probably want to make a separate list of the kind of stuff you're gonna pack with you. The 2 goat riders will be bringing the food, so you guys don't have to worry about food. So it's mainly a question of what other gear you want to bring, and see, among the items gathered from the worksite that might be of interest would be the steel short sword with a gilded hilt, set with an aquamarine or a blue gem. I don't know if anybody wants to take that. That weighs 1. Is there anything else there amongst the loot that you wanted to bring?
Yes, I definitely want to get a suit of that chainmail.
Okay.
I realize that like some of this stuff, this is not all of our loot. You know, like I want the goat riders and Saltwall to be fairly compensated and to also have these be part of their armament. So, yep. Like, I don't expect when I take this chainmail that I might necessarily get to keep it forever.
Well, it is human-sized chainmail, and they don't have a lot to do with that.
I will happily take that. So I was going to take that, and then are these heavy crossbows or light crossbows?
They are heavy crossbows.
Okay. I'll take a heavy crossbow and a thing of bolts, and that brings me up to 4 weight. And you said we don't have to worry about food and water?
That's right.
Okay.
Heavy crossbow weighs 2?
Yeah. It weighs 1.
Okay. Yeah. And the bolts weigh 1 too, right?
Yes.
Didn't I see in that list a fancy Corkine skirt?
Yes. In Elisa's tent, in the coffer in Elisa's tent, there was a fine Corkine skirt. Yeah.
Does that weigh anything?
No.
All right, I'm taking it.
Yeah, Paiviki, I totally think that you should take like a full out, like, disguise.
Yeah, is there any other clothes that she could wear that would fit into the Corkine?
Yeah. Elisa's trunk had all kinds of miscellaneous clothes that weren't really out of the ordinary. The skirt was just the thing that was clearly a very fine make, but you could easily put together a full outfit from those clothes. And if you don't want it to get sweaty and just pack it along,
Yeah.
to put on later, then I think all those clothes together, including the skirt, would weigh 1.
Okay. I'm definitely packing that.
The Corkine outfit.
Yeah, one of my thoughts was we don't know what we're going to run into and where we're going to end up. And if she can cross-dress as a Corkine regular, then that would be good. But also being able to dress, I'm wondering if we want to try to dress as word keepers.
Oh, with the helmet and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could get away with that. I don't know if we could, because we've never seen or heard of word keepers being non-Colkeen. I mean, maybe we could get away with someone being a word giver like Elmeri.
Right. Yeah, certainly to your knowledge, word keepers are always Corkine. That may not be the case, but in everything you've seen so far, that appears to be the case. And even so, Taimi, Mirren is elf, so probably that's right out, unless some extreme disguise measures were taken. But Taimi is also smaller in stature than the kind of average word keeper. They clearly are choosing people of like kind of broad-shouldered physical stock to be their security force.
So what I have as a draft of my 7-weight allocation is chainmail, bolts, heavy crossbow, short sword, my herbs and poultices, and then my rope.
Great, nice. Excellent. Mirren, is Mirren gonna bring anything in particular?
I think can I take the lock picks that were in that tent? And I think the rope. And then also, can we also take the herbs and poultices that were on the word keeper?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so just make sure to make a note of that so that you know everything you've got with you on your go. And then, Yuki, besides the outfit, were you going to bring anything else?
Well, there's a lot of things that on the list count as 0 weight.
Yep.
So I have like a writing kit and a tinderbox and a knife. And the bracelet of cold, I think I would take along.
Okay.
And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that probably taking a short sword and heavy crossbow, just, I don't know. She's not particularly good with a crossbow, but it seems to be what everybody else carries. So
yeah, and crossbows are super easy to use. One of the revolutionary things that the crossbow did was made it basically anybody could point and shoot with a crossbow.
Right.
You have to be strong enough to crank that string back, but it's much easier to use than like Taimi's bow, for instance.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll take that. So the crossbow and bolts and chainmail, and I was wondering about, I guess, taking the short sword weighs 1 also, right?
Yes.
Can I take the fancy short sword?
Yeah.
You guys have dibs on it?
John, did
Nope.
you already say you wanted that one?
Oh no, I wanted a regular short sword.
Okay. Nice. Take the.
Sorry, can I ask about chainmail? So is that something that is pretty easy to wear and like is like?
Sorry, your mic cut out.
Oh, is chainmail pretty easy to wear and like move around and it's like light?
It's not. I wouldn't call it light. It's pretty. You can really feel it when you're moving around. Yeah. If you're thinking about being stealthy, it also kind of clinks a little bit when you move. So if you're thinking about trying to be quiet and stealthy, it's not the best thing. In fact, it's a little even worse than something, because of all the little links and the way that they move together. Like, it would be a relatively noisy thing to move around in.
Right. Okay.
Um,
One other thing to consider, the chainmail and everything that we have, is it like a uniform? If somebody sees Taimi or Murin wearing it, will it be obvious that we robbed a word keeper?
let's see here. Let me
I mean, maybe if you had like cloaks or something to put over it
right.
to hide it.
Let me show you again what the word keepers look like. There they are. So the only really uniform part is the mark on the helmet. I mean, this is pretty standard. So as long as you look like this, you're thinking from what you've seen that Paiviki could pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you put on this exact outfit.
Yeah, that's my hope. I was wondering if these guys were wearing it, maybe minus the helmet, if people would look at them and say, "Oh, they're wearing wordkeeper uniforms."
Oh yes, definitely. Chainmail is relatively rare. You know, you guys haven't seen much of the world to really put in your experience. The only people you've seen wearing chainmail have been these guys.
Yeah.
Maybe in the wider world, that's there's a little more flexibility there, and certainly in this configuration, the way that this person's wearing it, if anybody's familiar with wordkeepers, it would be unmistakable. So yeah, a cloak or something to cover it, if you didn't want it to look stolen.
Because that would be a giveaway if they saw us. If they saw you guys and you were wearing that outfit and you weren't hiding it, they'd be like, "You just robbed a word keeper."
Well, I mean, if for instance, if Taimi has like a cloak to wear over it, like when you're definitely riding on the goat and the cloak's flying behind you, it'd be pretty hard to keep it concealed. But at first glance, without the helmet, the first read would not be word keeper. But if you're spending time with somebody and they got a chance to actually check out what you were wearing, then they might make that conclusion. But the telltale sign is the helmet from a distance. Okay, does everybody feel like they got what they want? Or are there any other questions?
I think I saw on that list there were some candles. Can I take those?
Sure thing. There are indeed.
I'll just take a knife too.
Yeah, I remember from our last campaign that the knife is probably the most useful of all items.
Yeah.
There are also, by my count, 181 silver pieces in loose change. So forgetting all the gems and whatnot, I just wanted to make sure if you guys want to take any actual currency with you, that is available.
I think it would be good to take some. I'm out of weight.
Oh, does currency have a weight?
Every 100 coins weighs one.
Oh, that's okay.
So I could get away with taking like 20 or something.
Yeah, we can grab 20. But again, like I think that like I don't want to go on a free for all on all this stuff because I still want to have stuff to like gift to Salt Wall and.
Yeah, well, between all the gems and pearls and whatnot, they're happy to have you guys take the Corkine currency, which is only good in Corkine markets anyway, right?
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
They can make use of it if they ever trade with people, but it's not super important to them.
Yeah.
We're going to be back soon, right? So we can divide up the loot later.
Yeah. John Shidurgeon wants to divide the loot but I think that in fiction we're hurrying and we're not going to spend time deliberating over who gets what.
Right. Yeah, when you come back, you can sort through all the rest of it. But just
John, So yeah, what was the total number of gold? 150 something? 153?
There's 181 in loose coins.
181. Okay, and Piviki has 20 right now.
Okay. All right, so at my kind of, as you guys are kind of like loading up your packs and getting everything organized, at my wants to know your opinion about what to do with the prisoners. Like, what's the long-term plan, or what's a long-term plan? So now Saltwallers have to feed these people, and currently they will be sort of under confinement indefinitely, but that's not gonna that's not sort of tenable in the long term, right, to keep them confined here. So, and right, maybe you don't have to think about that right now because you're about to go on this mission, so maybe that's too much, but she does sort of raise that concern. We will keep them here under watch until you return. I guess that could be the short plan, if that's cool with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think our answers would vary wildly for that, like what I think you should do to them.
Right. Okay. So they will do that, and pending, if situations change or any issues arise, they'll just try to resolve those on their own while you guys are afield. And then the goats are brought to the house along with your escorts. Aw.
Oh,
Yeah.
Itsy.
Oh,
Here are your escorts.
wow.
Yode is the Venati term for honored warrior. So it's almost like a sir or something like that, right? So Yode Jaspinder and Yode Upajai are brought to you, and the captain of the Goat Riders explains that these are the two who have ridden furthest afield. They're the ones who have the most experience on the road to the north. Neither one of them has been to the actual capital, but they've traveled at least 2 days, basically the same journey that you're attempting to make. These two have both been that far, which is why they've been chosen. Jaspinder speaks a little bit of the common tongue, but Upajai doesn't at all. So Jaspinder will be the person that you talk to the most. So they arrive on their goats with, and just as a reminder of what their goats look like, this is what a mounted goat rider looks like. They arrive on theirs. Most of the goats are light, have light hair, but Upajai is like a black goat, which seems to be unusual. And then they bring the three biggest goats they have, the three biggest riding goats that they have, for the three of you. And there's a little period where you're kind of taken through the basic steps. When you sit on these goats, because of so they have to like lengthen the stirrups to suit your feet and all that. And I think it's a somewhat comical sight to see Piviki on top of one of these things, like, a good, 2 feet taller than this person who's sitting here.
Yeah, her feet would be touching the ground.
Pretty much. So Piviki actually has to kind of like have her legs bent, or even like, bend it so the knees, are down here and feet are up here like that to ride. And there's a little, there's a good 20 minutes of like riding around outside in front of Maya's house trying to get the hang of these things. Until time is fleeting and you realize that you've really gotta go. Wherein Kwan approaches you while these preparations are being made and says, first you'll be going east, and the first settlement you reach is Arlandweir in the woods before you ride up to higher ground, you'll pass through Arlenduir, which is an elf settlement. I just want you to be aware of that so you're not totally surprised. Some elves have chosen to settle in the there's a forest called the Gatakara, and it's a small settlement, but some of our people have chosen to settle there. I think you'll be passing through very quickly, and you may not be able to meet anyone there, but I just wanted you to not be surprised when that happens. Prepare yourself. I know we don't see much of our kind, those of us who wander on a regular basis, so it may feel overwhelming to see many elves in one place. But perhaps you can spend more time there when you return, if you're curious about that.
Did she tell me where she's from? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, you guys had a conversation about your different homelands, your different clan lands, and she was from a community that's further east, like in the far east of where you are now.
Gotcha. Well, I guess that's pretty exciting. Yeah, thank you for the warning. Were they nice? I mean, did they welcome you?
Yes, they're good. Their leader is Kalian the Quick, a hunter who recognized good hunting grounds in the forest, which is why others came to join him there. And he is he holds the settlement gently in his hand. There's a shrine. There was a shrine to Mathar Ithrek there. If you choose to make an offering, Mathar Ithrek is Mother Soil, who's the elven god of the earth, goddess of the earth. And Taimi, do you have any words for Anika before you leave town?
No, I'll just tell her to be safe and be well. We'll be back before you know it, and don't swim in the big water until I get back, because I want to do that.
Are you serious? You want me to wait till how long before I can go down and dip my toes in the ocean?
Oh, dip your toes, but a full swim. I haven't even had that yet. It would be fun to experience it together.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It'll give me something to look forward to.
So she sort of like gives a little nod and a smile, and says, "Good luck, Taimi the hunter. Do us proud. Do Rayona proud."
Yeah, I give her a hug and.
Okay, great. All right, sounds like you're ready to go. So everybody mounts up. Cha! And Jaspinder and Upajai. So Jaspinder will hang back with you, and Upajai will take point, just to like scout out any difficulties in the train. The plan is to move as fast as your oversized bodies can handle. And there's a good Durbin and Tapias on his crutch. Other folks who you've met in your time in the village turn out to fare you, to wish you well as you Oh, you're not supposed to see that guy yet. As you head out to the east. That's right. So this is the coastal landscape that you pass across. The path. You're on an actual, pretty well worn road, or very close to a road. It's actually, sort of more inland than this rocky shelf on the left. But every time there's a break in the landscape, you can look down across the coastline and see the ocean down below to the right. At first, the going is pretty rough. The way that this goat moves underneath you. I mean, you guys have had piggyback rides before. Maybe when you were kids, you tried to ride on some goats at the village. But sustained goat riding is difficult. And so for this first stretch where you're riding along the coast of this land called the Navamgara, everybody's got to make a Constitution saving throw. So top to bottom, Weirin, what'd you get?
Sorry, one second. Oh no. So I have a 5 plus 1, 6.
You got a plus 1
Eight.
con? Great.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, plus 1.
You got a 6? Okay.
Yeah, should I?
Well, I'll tell you what the consequences are. You're going to lose 1d4 Constitution.
Whoa.
Because this is like you're getting broken in, basically, right? The goats are already broken in, but your guys' bodies are not broken in.
And then the way to earn back Constitution is it's not through resting, right?
It's through rest, yeah. Like if you
it is?
Yeah, rest will sleep will recover some, yeah.
Okay, so if I could probably handle 1d4.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Timey, what'd you get?
I got a 6, but I'm going to use a luck.
Okay.
Really?
Come up with a 7.
You have
So-
a lot of luck, don't you?
Yes, I do have a lot of luck. Yes.
Oh, I rolled a 2 for my con,
Okay.
so I got a 12.
So that you got a 12. That unfortunately reduces your modifier to 0, right? So for temporarily,
Yes.
you don't get the plus 1 to con. John, the 7 to 9 result on this, it's not a d4, but it's just 1 point. So you lose 1 point of con. And Paiviki?
I rolled a 6 also.
Are you taking the d4? The d4?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm already down to 11 luck. I can't really afford to
Okay.
burn any. Ooh, I just lost 4.
Oh, Paiviki is so sore.
Oh my gosh. 4 points. Wow, I'm down to 5.
Oh my god.
-2.
Wait, that takes away from your hit points.
I thought
Oh,
you said
no.
Constitution.
No, but if your Constitution modifier changes, your hit points change.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you went from -1 to -2, or did you go from 0 to
I
negative?
went from 0 to -2.
Yeah, so your hit points just went down by 2 points.
Whoa.
You're in really bad shape after 6
Yeah.
hours of riding this goat.
Is that
That makes sense.
a new rule?
No, it's just that whenever your Constitution modifier changes, the hit points go right along with that. So, because it's it's applied as a modifier to hit points when you roll your hit dice. It's not an explicit rule. It's one that I need to write up explicitly. But yes.
Yeah.
What does that give? What do you have? 7 hit points now?
I've got 7.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
is
Donna.
yours only 9?
Yeah, Paiviki's soft on the inside.
Yeah.
um,
She just comes off as tough.
Donna, your modifier dropped from +1 to 0, so you lose a hit point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if I was at 10, then mine is now at 9.
Yeah, but as soon as your Constitution goes back up, your hit points will go right back up with it. It just basically means you're really tired. So if you get in a fight, you're just a little less up to snuff as far as
Jason, do we get to mark Constitution?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Please do.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
It's all worth it.
That's how. Yeah, it's all. You're toughening up. Enough time in the wilderness, and you guys will be unstoppable. So you, after like 4 hours of riding, let me see if I got this right. No, 2 hours of riding, you cross a small river, Splishy Splash, pretty high from spring runoff, but totally crossable. And then you cross more landscape like this. And then at the 4 hour mark, so we're talking, you probably got to start at like 8 in the morning. So around noon, you enter a woodland, a beautiful woodland. So at this point, you've cut across the landscape away from the ocean, and the trail leads through these woods. There's all kinds of, Upajai's up ahead. And as Upajai rides, you see Upajai riding, some distance ahead, a huge flock of birds like sweeps up out of the trees and into the sky. You see various forms of wildlife, small woodland creatures darting between the trees. You have to slow down just a little bit here because the path gets a little bit windier through the forest. And then after about an hour of moving through the woods, you hear the rushing of water, and you look up above the treetops, and you see a waterfall spilling down over a big cliff off to your left. And then the trail descends to a wider river where clearly someone established a ford by, just like the ford you guys crossed back near the boundary stone, if you remember way back before you reach Saltwall. People have obviously moved a lot of rocks into the river right here to make a passable ford. So the goats make their way across that. And on the far side of the river, Upajai holds up a hand, and all of you stop, and Jaspinder, Upajai and Jaspinder kind of look at Paiviki and look at each other, and kind of give each other a little smile. Upajai pulls out a skin, like a drinking skin, and tosses it to Paiviki, and expects you to drink from it.
Yeah, I'll take a sip.
So it's the honey mead of the Venati people.
All right.
Which you realize that Upajai has been, imbibing periodically as you've been writing. So she encourages you to take some of that, and then Jaspinder hands you a wooden, basically it's like a little wooden bowl the size of a cupped hand, and in it is a waxy substance. There's no lid. There's just like, it's full of this waxy substance. And she hands that to you and says, when you have the opportunity, for your sore parts, for the parts of you that are sore.
He's like, thank you. What happens if you get to 2 Constitution?
You pass out.
Okay.
There's actually in the rules there's a whole thing for when any of your stats get low. I'll look up later. And then Jaspinder says, we approach the place of the elves. We will not be stopping. We will be moving through. We may startle them and surprise them, but we have no time to lose. Yeah! And then they set off, leaving you guys for a moment to try to goad your goats forward. And I need each of you to make a charisma roll to see what your relationship is with your goat at this point.
Ooh, charisma is one of my best skills that I've never used.
Actually, forget that. It's not charisma. Sorry. It's you're going to keep company with your goats because you've been spending time. So it's just straight up 2d6 with no modifier.
Ooh, 10.
I got the lowest possible roll.
You got
Oh
snake eye?
no. Oh no.
Oh, my beak.
She hates me. She hates me.
You do get XP. So Paviki gets XP.
All right.
Um,
Wow,
so
like a straight point.
you're Paviki. So Jaspinder and Upajai, yeah, they get going. Taimi's goat instantly follows, and then Muirin, what was your goat's? What'd you
I
get?
got a 4, unfortunately.
Oh,
So
okay.
not as bad, but bad.
So you get XP as well. Your goat doesn't move, and Paviki, your goat bucks back and throws you into the river.
Ouch.
I don't know. So if I were to run alongside, would I be able to trail behind somehow?
Yeah, you would basically be catching up to everybody. Running is going to take more out of your constitution than the goats will in the long run, so to speak. The roll I just had you, unless there's like a particularly arduous part of the journey ahead on goat back, you won't need to make another constitution saving throw. This was you just getting acclimated to the goat.
Yeah.
If you did choose to run, it might be a little harder on your body. You might have to make another con roll.
Okay. At least I'm used to running.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That you are used to running. Yeah, so I'll buy that. I think that maybe only if there was a particularly trying circumstance would you have to make a con roll. But you might be running for the next 8 hours.
Yeah, I'd have to try to actually keep up with them. I mean, if I wasn't trying to keep up, I could just kind of jog along.
So all this is running through Viki's mind as she picks herself up out of the freezing cold water.
Oh, man.
And Miran's goat is over at the side of the path, like chewing on some grass. Taimi, are you looking over your shoulder at all, or do you think that?
It would probably be, yeah, it would probably be like a solid 30 seconds before I would look, and
Okay.
then I'd give a whistle to Joss Bender. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Okay. So Jaspinder turns around, calls Upajai to stop, rides back. As you get the feeling that both of these riders are very good-natured. So at first she's just like chuckling and dismounts. She does that thing where she sticks her spear in the ground and dismounts, like before her goat's even stopped. Goes over, puts her hand on Paiviki's goat and sort of talks to it and takes something out of her the pouch of her belt and hands Paiviki some compressed like pellets of some kind, and then gestures for you to stand away from the goat and beckon the goat towards you with these pellets.
All right. I'll try the I don't know what you call that, the
carrot on the stick with a
training regimen, the goat whisperer technique. Yeah, so I'll hold out my hand and be like, "Come on, goat, come on!"
And you're like soaking wet, so the goat comes over and
No, you hate this as much as I do.
snuffles at your hand, and then sort of chews it, and Jaspinder pats it on the back and then whispers to it and then gestures for you to get back on its back.
All right, I'm gonna try it. Does the goat have to roll for Constitution too?
No, not yet. This goat is in good. This goat has not been. I mean, you're heavier than what it's used to carrying, but so far it's doing all right.
Yeah.
Good question. And same thing with Muirin. Jaspiner comes and tries to like tend to your goat, grabs it by the ear, the horns, and kind of like shakes it around and kind of knocks it on the skull a couple times, and gives you the food to give to the goat as well. And then you guys are both remounted, and you've lost some time, which I'm keeping track of, and then you're back on the trail.
Thank you.
And Jaspiner decides that she's going to drop behind and take up the rear in case something like that happens again. So you continue through the woods, and in short order, you pass through a settlement that's on the left side is kind of these cliffs, and there's a point where there's the water that you've crossed. There's a pond that's gathered at the foot of these cliffs, and kind of clustered around the edge of that pond is a number of wooden structures. Some of them are even almost like campsites. Like they're not the most, there's no stone buildings. It's all wood or even, or animal hide and canvas, and of clearly elven construction, like curved lines. Some things are built sort of in right amidst the trees in a way that humans would never do it. Not up in the trees like classic storybook elves, but like sort of nestled into spots in the woods. And as you ride into town, it's not even a town, it's not even a village, it's just like, it's like 10, maybe 10 buildings, 10 little structures. There are people doing various things. Elves going about their business, like a handful of people moving about, and clearly their attention is instantly grabbed by you. And Upajai kind of hollers to make it clear that like we can't stop here. And Muirin, as you're, taking it all in and seeing these actual structures where elves actually call this place home, which is not a common thing for you to see. Do you have any feelings about seeing this stuff? I mean, maybe you're indifferent, maybe it reminds you of something.
No, I'm very oof. I think that it's probably like emotional, and I have a sense of nostalgia for where my homeland is, and like the people that I haven't seen in decades. And yeah, I like scan, and like I look at some faces, and I sort of try to like see if there's any I don't know, recognizing anyone, but maybe there's no way. Everyone looks familiar maybe in a way, but
Yeah, certainly familiar in ways that, I mean, a lot of them in one place has been unusual. Why don't you get lucky just to see if you actually recognize anybody?
Ooh, okay. Ooh, 11.
Okay.
We need horses.
What?
Well, if there's horses too.
Like right away, you're gonna ask, "Give us horses now." There are no horses in this land. That was something that was established a couple sessions ago. Alas, there may be other kinds of mounts.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe,
That's
but
right.
there's no horses. Who is it that you see? You don't have to come up with a name, but like what in what context, or who is this person in terms of like your personal relationship to them? Is it just an acquaintance? Is it like a family member?
I think maybe it's like someone that I possibly encountered young Lynn, and like so now they're grown up.
Nice.
And so we probably didn't have that much interaction either in that time period, but I remember the old day.
And gender?
I think it was male.
Okay. I'll come up with a name real quick. Yeah, so you
So
get,
maybe on the older side then, or
Okay.
maybe my age then.
okay, great. So you have that flash of recognition, and your head kind of turns, and they also, they're, you know, you guys' eyes lock for a second, and there's this moment of realization crosses their face. Do you try to stop the goat, or do you just keep riding?
Oh no. So like both of us recognize each other?
Yes. His name is Akon.
I think that I will briefly stop.
You do. Okay, so you rein your goat up. Everybody except Jaspinder is. Oh no, I guess Paiviki is probably behind you. So Paiviki's goat kind of dashes past, and then Jaspinder pulls up next to you. What do you do?
I'm sorry. I recognize someone. Can I just stop for 1 minute?
Let me just check. Yes. Please be quick.
Thank you.
We're in. So Akon shouts out your name and you know, some greeting in Elvish, and kind of half stupefied, kind of like makes his way over to you. He's got a basket under his arm with like it's full of some kind of spring vegetable of some kind. How are you here? Years.
Yes, I could not have believed this myself. I'm so sorry, but I just wanted to stop. We're passing through to apprehend some soldiers, and so we're unfortunately I'm unable to stay. But
The word keeper.
was,
Yes, they came
yes.
through. 2 days ago.
Did they have two Venati people with them?
There were three Venati.
3.
Yes, clearly prisoners.
And alive?
We had a council to decide what to do, but we thought it best not to interfere. Yes, they were all alive.
Okay, well, that's good news. Is there? We're here to save them. Did you feel like there was too? It was out of diplomatic reasons. It was better to not interfere.
Yes, as the Corkine, it would have caused much trouble. They camped outside of town, and Kalian approached them, and they would not treat with him. So short of interfering by force, we really had no choice but to let them go. But ride, my friend, ride.
Okay. Well, till next time.
Return when you can. We must catch up.
Yes. Uh, okay, well, I'll thank Jaspinder.
Yeah.
And get back.
Okay. So yeah, Jasmine, like, is sort of like doing this the whole time you guys are talking, and it's like, yes, we go. And Akon shouts something in Venati, encouraging Jaspinder. And on your way out of the village, you pass the shrine to Matha Aithrak, which is at the edge of the pond. Is a mound of earth that's sort of fresh with spring grass and overgrown with wildflowers. And there's a wooden statue of the Mother of Soils, standing there with hands outstretched. And when you pass, actually, there's like each hand there's like a half a dozen little birds perched on each hand, drinking from rainwater that's pooled in the palms of her hand. So that's the last glimpse you get before you ride out of the village. And then it's more riding through beautiful wildflower woodland. And then the path arcs towards this kind of rocky cliff face that's been all along to the left side that waterfall was spilling over. And there's a long series of switchbacks that Upajai leads you up to climb this cliff. The path kind of goes back and forth. And this is the point at which the agility of the goats becomes super apparent, because they are like leaping across little gaps in the road. If any one of you had any kind of like vertigo or fear of heights, it would be put to the test right here. Paiviki in particular, you're kind of like, thrown kind of like back and forth quite a bit by the jerky movements of these goats as they make their way up. And then you crest the top of the cliff. At this point, it is midday, so the sun's directly overhead. Everybody's sweating pretty hard, and you set off across the next stretch. Well, there's a moment where you guys are drinking on the fly. So when you get thirsty or you're hungry, you've each been given a small amount of food for yourself to kind of chew on as you need to, and then you set off across the next leg of the journey, which is across this kind of landscape. So you kind of climbed up from the coastal shelf that you were just on, and now you've entered into some kind of rocky rolling grassland that's from where you are, it's just like a huge broad valley that rises gradually to hills on either side, and away you go. This stretch requires someone to roll to set out. So I will ask Taimi to make that roll. It's a 2d6 roll, modified by the safety of this region.
Would you say this is unsafe?
That's correct, yeah. So 2d6 plus 2.
Plus 2?
You may not have I updated the safety.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, it's plus 3, plus 2, plus 1, 0.
Let me just mark that. That would be a 5.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 3 plus 2.
Okay. We will roll a d12, please.
7.
Okay. So, boy. You're about 4 hours into this after topping the cliff. So at this point, it's, late afternoon. There's been nobody else on the road. And the road goes up a gentle rise, and then you get to the top and you look down, and curving around from the far right up into the foothills is the shining line of a small river, and due to the spring runoff, the road has been completely washed away. So there's a gap of about, so the road you're on sort of descends to the edge of this small river, and it's still kind of quite, it's like muddy and rushing. There's all kinds of dead wood debris kind of accumulated. It's clear that somewhere something kind of broke to create this flood, and now what may have once been a shallow crossing has been made sort of deep and rapid. So the Jaspiner and Opujai have both sort of pulled up their goats, and you're all sort of surveying the situation in front of you.
It's not jumpable by the goats, is it?
I mean, it would be if it was like sort of like fallen tree to rock in the middle to far shore, right?
Yeah.
It's not one jump, but it could be doable in a series of jumps. That would probably be the most direct way to do it. Yeah, it's possible. And Jaspinder and Upajai are having a conversation in Venati talking about possibilities.
What sort of role would it be to kind of look up and down this kind of new rapidy river stream thing?
Are you trying to look for answers? Are you trying to find some information?
Yeah, or just like to see if something like that exists, to see if there's like a hopscotchy point.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, sure. I would say either you can get lucky or find answers.
And find answers is...
You can do wisdom to discern. Good old timey and wisdom. Intelligence to study.
Yeah. You know, for the sake of, you know, bettering these traits, I'm going to use intelligence. I mean, let's go. That's a 7. But that's
7.
an 8. That's an
After
8.
It's an 8.
Yeah, intelligence 8.
Okay, great. There, from where you're, it looks like there's a, the river might narrow. So we look off to the right upstream. It disappears behind, you know, some obstructions, and then there's a place where it looks like there, on this side, there is the earth is, the shore is higher, and there might be a point there where you could actually make a leap all the way across, but you won't know until you get over there and investigate it further. So according to Taimi's analysis, it looks like there's a place where you could jump further upriver, but you can't be sure.
Yeah, I'll strode up to Jawspender and and point up there. There, across there.
Oh. So they kind of look at each other. Okay, yeah, let's go. So you all make your way up to that spot. Yeah, so you find yourself on a sort of promontory overlooking, it's probably only about, 5 feet higher than the water level. And from that 5-foot spot with the rushing muddy water below, a good goat jump out. There's like a flat rock that's angled. It's wet because the water's been rushing over intermittently, but it is sort of above the surface. And then from that rock to the far shore, so you could potentially do it in 2 jumps. Upajai takes a swig from her honey mead. Jaspinder sort of turns and assesses Paiviki.
Can't we just hop off and jump ourselves, or just is it too far for us?
I think Paviki could probably make that jump.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody could probably make that jump. The goats are sure-footed, but in Paviki's case, because of the weight imbalance, it might be better for you to do it on your own.
Yeah.
And for Muirin and Taimi could go either way. It depends on how you feel about the goats.
I think Taimi would feel confident because she's gauging her experience with the goats with the others, and she hasn't been thrown. They seem to be following her, so she's going to put her faith in them.
Okay.
But I mean, we have the rope, Iviki. Like, I definitely would wrap the rope around your waist on somebody who's on once they get to the other side. Or heck, I mean, could we just send like one person across?
Mm-hmm, sure.
And then they would have a rope. And they could like, and then we could just do the same shimmy and tactic, or at least have that as like a fail safe as we cross one by one.
Specifically for Paviki, because Paviki will be on foot.
Yeah, well, I also don't know about Muirin. Are you going to take the goat, Muirin?
I probably feel better on my own as well, similar to Paviki.
Okay. All right. So you want one rider to go across with the rope.
Yeah.
All the goat riders to get to the other side, maybe, with the rope, and then throw the rope back so that whoever goes. Okay, great. Jaspinder says, after consulting with Upajai, says, I will go downstream in case one of you gets washed down. So Jaspinder is going to go first across the river and then proceed downstream to a point that looks like she might be able to intercept one of you if you slip in the water, if you fall in the water. So Jaspinder, go.
The issue here is just like the water is gushing and rushing over these rocks.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Okay.
The issue is you could get washed down.
Yeah.
Or slip and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Unlikely, but possible. I totally forgot that Muirin has perfect balance and a featherlight step because she's an elf.
Yeah, let's go.
So the two goat riders, Jaspinder first leaps off the promontory, hits that middle rock, and then it's like the goat's hooves barely touch it, and then she's on the far shore. She turns back. Upajai makes it, and then Jaspinder, after Upajai's on the far side, Jaspinder heads downstream. And then it's Taimi's turn. In this case, you're rolling for the goat because the goat's doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And the goat rolls according to its competence. And this goat has if it's within its kind of wheelhouse, it gets to roll according to its competence. And its competence is +2 because this is goat doing a goat.
I thought you said confidence.
Competence, yeah. Competency, competence.
That goat, it looks really sure of itself. Really confident animal. Okay, +2.
Yeah.
Oh boy, buddy, let's go.
Uh-oh, is that a good or a bad let's go?
No, it's a good. It's 11.
Ah, nice.
13 total.
Okay. Boom. Taimi's on the far side with the rope.
Good job, goat.
Muirin. I feel like, there is a chance you could slip on that rock. And that first, there's no chance. Because that's not about perfect balance or featherlight. Well, is it about perfect balance? Slipping?
Yeah.
Slipping?
Depends on how light, right?
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, Muirin makes it across. Boom, boom.
Boom.
Leap off, land, 2 steps, jump. Quiet as a mouse, lands on the far side. Taimi hurls the rope over to Paviki. Paiviki, I guess you want to whack your goat to make it go across first.
Yeah.
So that's no problem. The goat makes
Kind
it.
of. Can I have the goat take my stuff?
Yeah, you can totally strap your stuff onto the goat. Absolutely.
Okay,
So
I'll
it's
do
just
that.
you and your gear and your clothes.
I don't have to worry about losing my stuff. All right, so then I guess I'm gonna try to use my long limbs to leap to the rock and hold on to that rope.
Right, and it'll be one roll to get you across the whole thing. You won't have to make two different rolls at this point, but if you get like a 7 to 9, there might be, it'll
Okay.
be a complication.
All right, so I'm rolling what? Dexterity?
Dexterity, yeah.
Okay. Got a plus, nothing. Woo! 4.
Oh no. Well, you get to mark dexterity.
All right. This is just training, right? It's training for being an adventurer.
Totally training.
They always send them out. They send them off on this adventure like before you have to do anything
Yeah.
too dangerous.
So your legs are kind of shaking from, what is it, like 8 hours or 10 hours of riding you've been doing so far, and sore. There's muscles that are in pain right now that you didn't even know you had, just trying to like keep yourself on that goat as it lurched and ran across the world. So, big exhale, you look at that rock, you've got the rope. How have you secured yourself with the rope? Is it, what are you doing with your end of the rope?
I was just going to hold on to it.
Okay.
And leap across.
Okay.
So when I leap, there's going to be some slack.
Great. So you land on that rock with your right foot and it slips out from under you and you slam down on it and then slide right off the rock into the rapids. You're still holding on to the rope. And oh yeah, you don't have any of your stuff on you because that's all on the goat. And Taimi, what's your stance for holding on to your end?
I've dismounted from the goat, and I'm firmly, I guess, kind of like a traditional like tug of war kind of stance.
Okay. I think there's a Paiviki swept off the rock, and then there's like through the water, and then there's a moment where that rope becomes taut and sort of jerks as Taimi's resisting on the other side. And that jerk, given Paiviki's kind of weakened state, is the thing that you have to hold on to. Rushing water, slippery rope. Paiviki's going to make a strength roll to hang on to that rope.
All right. I rolled a 6 plus 1, so 7.
Oh.
Okay, the rope jerks. Timing is actually pulled forward, like, leaning back. You're actually pulled forward. Upajai grabs you and hangs on to you. The rope slips from Paiviki's hands, and well, actually, Paiviki, you're going to decide. This is your what's the word I'm looking for? Hard bargain. It's your ugly choice. Either the force pulls the rope out of Taimi's hands, and you lose it also, and the rope's lost in the river, or you slam into the rocks on the shore and suffer another point of damage.
What were you saying? That the rope would get lost in the first idea?
Yep.
that I would pull it out of their hands or whatever.
And then you would lose it as well, and the rope would just get swept downstream.
But that I would make it onto the other side.
Correct. Right. With no damage.
I'll take a hit.
Okay. So you swing over through the water. There's actually a sharp rock sticking out of the shore that you kind of slam into, but you manage to grab onto it, and the water's like rushing over your head. And Upajai's there in an instant, kind of hauling you out onto the shore. Actually, yeah, hauling you out onto the shore.
Nice.
Second time you've been soaking wet today.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is not very. I tell Upajai, even though he can't understand me, that don't tell anybody back in Saltwall about this. I don't want them to remember me this way.
You got your reputation to protect, right? When you're sort of lying there in the grass, staring up at the sky, and you turn over to your left, and your goat is about 2 feet away, just kind of like chewing the grass, ripping up grass by the mouthfuls, and like not even paying attention to you.
That goat is psyched that I was not on her back. Here's my drawing of the ride of Paiviki.
Oh wait, hold on, I got it. Let's see that. Oh yeah. Oh my God. That is great. That is awesome. Yeah, so you guys, everybody mounts up, and then you get back on the road and you make your way back down the river, back to the path, and continue heading north. And as it becomes toward evening, it's actually, so the sky starts to darken. I guess it's off to your left. There's a river valley stretching away, sort of parallel to a river at the bottom of this river valley. You're kind of looking down at this valley. On the far side of that, mountains, just like you see here, are kind of rising up, and the sun is setting behind them. You cross another river, and after a short while, the kind of moor that you've been crossing starts to turn marshy. And you enter a wetland where the path is in and out of the water. There's lots of splishy, splashy. As you make your way, you have to go a little bit slower because when you enter into the deeper water, the goats don't know what footing they're getting in for. So there's areas where there's kind of mucky mud, and they kind of have to pick their way through it. And just as the sky is kind of sort of a dark blue color, you see smoke rising in the distance from what appears to be some kind of settlement. And Upajai says, Midyarvi! And Jaspender says, it is an old village, the Korkin, too small for the Korkin to care. Here where we will rest. We rest for, we move again before the sun rises. But here we will try to get some sleep. And the trail takes you along the edge of a shallow lake in the middle of these wetlands. Mm-hmm. Pulled up on the shore of the lake are a number of coracles, which are kind of boats shaped like teacups. They're basically just these round boats that you paddle around. So a bunch of those are hauled up and flipped on their top down, and there's a huddle of huts not too dissimilar from the huts in your own town. Similar construction. It looks like a couple of them have fieldstone walls. Most of them are just thatch, but they have like triangular roofs or conical roofs and smoke holes, just like some of the huts in your own village. And Upajai in the lead dismounts as somebody from the village kind of hollers out, and Jaspender rides ahead to act as kind of intermediary to communicate with those people. So your goats have finally come to a stop, and everybody feels the soreness of the day.
Oof. I feel like Taimi's adrenaline is like really, really pumping. Like this is a hunt, you know. Like she's tracked game, but never across multiple days, never across this distance. You know, she has to remind herself that she's not chasing a beast or some, you know, fell creature. You know, she's chasing humanoids, you know, that have prisoners. So I think after a while she can finally like calm herself down and get herself out of the thrall of the hunt.
What does she do to calm herself down?
I think, and I don't mean to, I think she sees how like worse for wear Paiviki is.
And it's like, I'm doing all right.
Or just like, yeah, you know, like this is okay. Like I'm not in the hunt. I'm not in some blind in the woods. You know, this is a pursuit. You know, we got to keep our strength up. And I'm going to go to Paiviki and offer you some poultices and herbs.
Oh man. Yeah. So this reminds me of when I went on a peace walk in Eastern Europe, and sometimes we walked for 20 miles a day in the winter time, and I was not prepared physically.
Wow.
And at the end of each day, my feet were covered with blisters, and then I would walk on my blisters the next day, and the monks and nuns, these Japanese monks and nuns who were with us, would give us moxie, which is like burning incense that you put on your feet. It's like a pressure. It's like acupuncture, only hot.
Oh wow.
And they were all the monks and nuns were like tough. They were like superheroes. But yeah, that just makes me think of it. I could just, and at the end of my first day on that walk, I could barely move. My back was hurting so badly.
Oh my God!
So
wow.
I'm imagining that's probably what Paiviki feels like.
Yeah. Whoa.
This giant person who can't really move.
Right. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that is what she feels like. And I think, you know, Taimi's feeling it too, but not as much.
Yeah.
And we're least of all those elves.
But I could use some rest.
Yeah, so Jaspender has convinced the villagers to let you camp outside of the you know, near the village, but not like right in it. And Upajai is already kind of setting up a little site for you on the bank of the lake there.
Did they have any news of the word keepers?
Is that what who do you ask?
Jossbender. Because Udapai wouldn't be able to understand me.
No, I thought you might have gone to a villager, like one of the people from the village.
Oh, no. If I mean, I'm just going off the language you use, but if they had to like convince them to let us camp outside the village, that doesn't seem too like open and accommodating. So I don't want to. Let me hear what Joss Vetter has to say first.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much of a. It was like, you know, an agree. You know, it was like, we're here. We're just going to camp over here. We just want you to know. Is that okay? And they came to an agreement. It wasn't like the villagers were like super suspicious.
Okay.
They have dealt with Venati before. In fact, they recognized these two particular ones because they've been here before. Jaspender says they are getting their leader. He may have news. I think he will join us shortly.
All right.
We must cook. We must eat, and get as much rest as possible. So you guys don't have to mark rations because these guys have provided the food for you. You don't have to worry about that. Anybody who wants to keep company can do so. Paiviki might just be completely exhausted. But,
Yeah. She's like just moaning in the corner, like she's trying to use that ointment wherever she can that the the goat riders gave her, and the herbs and poultices.
I guess I would like to keep company with Muirin.
Great.
Cool.
Taimi is curious and really interested by elf culture, and I'm curious, what did it feel like to ride through a village like
that?
Great. So before you answer, because the way the conversation goes may be dictated by the roll. Taimi's going to roll 2d6. Do you have any bonds with Muirin?
I do not know.
Okay, so 2d6 straight up.
8.
So you're going to choose one from the list. You gain a bond with Muirin. Muirin gains a bond with you. It'd be one of those two. And you guys can, the conversation goes fine. So go ahead and you can answer that, Muirin.
Okay. I will choose to have a bond with Muirin.
That means that in the future, Taimi might help Muirin with something.
Has extra capacity to help you, yeah. So how does Muirin respond to that inquiry?
She's honest but reserved, and she'll admit that she wasn't it's something it's not been in her mind for a very long time that she would see so many of her people, and so it was surprising, a bit overwhelming, and Taimi maybe noticed that we recognized an old friend, so I'll explain that there's someone there that I want to talk to again. Very eager to try to return.
I have every confidence that we will be able to go back that way and be able to see them again. But I must admit that moment said something about you. If we were in pursuit of the Venati and it took us through Rayuna, it would be hard for me to keep going. These are the people we pursue are strangers to us. We don't owe them anything save for a party and a couple nights of hospitality. And I don't know if I would have had the courage to just keep riding, just for the sake of doing the right thing. All these days on the road, so far from home, it would have been tempting. And I think it says something tremendous about you.
Oh, thank you. I will say that not to be judgmental of that group, but I do think that it was notable that they just let that Corkine group pass, with
Oh, they did.
prisoners in hand. Yeah. So to me, as a personal, to Muirin as a personal morale, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm sure that you will have words with them when we pass through again.
Maybe.
Okay. A shout goes up from Upajai. So there's like a little Upajai has a little copper pot that's and has very quickly and efficiently started a little fire, and the copper pot has like a stew of dried fruit and water that's kind of cooking there, and Jaspinder, the shot goes from Jaspinder, and Jaspinder gets up from the campsite, and walking along the path from the village is a man with braided brown hair, and accompanying the man is a Venati. Let's see here. There he is. Parvinder! And Upajai and Jaspinder run over and embrace, and you guys know from his name that he was the goat rider who was taken.
Oh.
Come. So they bring him over to the camp, and they're just sort of overjoyed to see him, to see that he's okay, to see that he escaped. He doesn't look well. He actually the leader of the village is introduced as Nirik, and Nirik is kind of supporting Palvinder. It looks like his lower leg is in a splint, and it's hard for him to get around. But he's very happy to see his old friends, and you are introduced to him once their kind of greetings and introduced to the leader of the village as well. And Nirik says he only arrived this morning from the north. I have not been able to get much out of him, but we saw him go through the day before with the word keepers.
Oh, so he did escape.
Yes, as far as I can tell. And so Upajai and Jaspinder are by the fire. They're feeding him, and he's kind of like they're chatting a little bit, and then they gesture for you guys to come over. I guess Viki this whole time has just been lying there nearby, head in the reeds.
Yeah. I'm kind of listening like, oh, wow.
And Jaspinder says, he says they ran into slime devils. And Nirik says some word in the local tongue. Lima Polainen. Slime devils. And you guys just give them a blank stare. And Jaspinder like waves her hand like too much to explain. It says he managed to escape, but and one of the word keepers is dead. So our quarry remains one word keeper and two other salt wallers, two others from our village. Azrit and Diani. and you guys know that they are the ones that were, all three of these people were taken prisoner because they physically fought back against the word keepers when there was an incident in town. So they have been slowed by this danger that they encountered, and one of them has been killed. And Upajai gives a little
What is the name of the guy we just rescued again? Can you show that again?
Palvinder.
I mean, we didn't rescue.
He just came across him. He rescued himself.
I mean, would Palvinder? I mean, he doesn't look like he can't accompany us. Not without a goat, he wouldn't be able to keep pace. No. But could he explain to you where they found the slime devil so that we might try to avoid that place?
They have a little back and forth, and she says, half a day on foot ahead on the path, directly on the path. They create these things. They turn the path to what is your word for it? And she has this back and forth with Upajai, and then Nirik says quicksand. These creatures excrete a liquid which turns dirt or the earth into a grasping mud from which it is difficult to escape. And once you are trapped, they arrive in numbers to devour you. Yes, as you cross the plains, this is something to be aware of. The areas that they have changed this way are not easy to spot.
Have the villagers treated him well since he arrived?
Yes, they have taken good care of him. They have repaired his leg or set his leg, and he says that they have been kind. No doubt because the Venati and these people have had interactions behind, and there has been honor on both sides. I feel we could leave him here with them, but I also feel like he should be returned to his people. If we continue north and we know not when we would come back, I am wondering if Upajai should return with him back to Saltwall. What is your thought, Tahimi?
I mean, ultimately, these are your people. You know, we are committed to trying to find that last word keeper. But with just one of them now, I feel extraordinarily confident in the four of us to be able to handle it. If you feel like Palvinder is ready for travel, and we would respect your wishes.
I thought there were 3. Is there only 2 word keepers?
Not anymore.
There were 2.
There were 2. Okay.
And now there's just 1.
Whoa.
And then, did you say that they died from the quicksand?
Nirik says the slime devils create a kind of trap out of soft earth, and once you are stuck in it, they emerge from the grass to devour you. It is words cannot describe the horror. I have no love for word keepers, but I would not wish a death by slime devil on anyone. Yeah, go ahead.
All we can do is avoid them. I mean, I'm grateful to the village for treating Halvinder fairly, and I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that Halvinder can tell us. Anything else that would benefit us as we rush to overtake him. Any terrain that you cross that you think we could save some time by circumventing, or
he's trying to remember where the spot was where the he says that there's a it's relatively featureless out there. He can't really think of any landmark that would mark the spot where the slime devil pit was, and he didn't progress past that point. So as far as like shaving time off, there's nothing he can come up with. Neric says that their progress may have been slowed, but there's a good chance they'll reach Sakagara by dusk tomorrow, depending on if it's relative, if this one wordkeeper is able to usher his prisoners along, they may reach Sakagara. And you guys have heard of Sakagara. It's not the capital, but it's a big trading town. None of you have ever been there, but it's well known enough where you've heard of it in passing. Like the merchants that used to come to your market, maybe they'd been there. To you, it's a somewhat mythical place where people from many different places, you've heard stories about the kind of wonders of Sakagara, basically. And that's a pretty substantial Korkeen outpost. So I guess Neric thinks that maybe at top speed, or I guess Jaspender is guessing that maybe at top speed tomorrow, if you manage to do it without any delays, you might be able to intercept them before they reach Sakagara, but otherwise they'll get to the town. You'll have to figure out what to do once they're in the town.
Yeah.
It may cause complications. Like obviously finding them on the road by themselves, you could resolve that hopefully, but once they get to town, it might get more complicated.
Yeah, agree. Well, I mean, let's rest up then and try to get as early of a start.
Great. So you pass the night.
Is there any healing that Iviki can do outside of sleeping?
Oh, the poultices and herbs give you 1d4.
Yep. So you can roll the poultices and herbs right now.
Does the waxy stuff do anything? Value.
I'll say that restores a point of constitution off the bat.
Okay.
And then the herbs and poultices can be applied to hit points and or constitution, I'll say. Right. So if like you manage to change your constitution modifier that way, then that would bump your hit points back up. So you can figure out you can decide how to spend that. But if you roll a d4, you get to.
All right. So I get 2. And in theory, if I sleep well, then I get another one?
In theory, you get, is your con modifier, well, you get 1 plus your con modifier.
Right.
And
so I get nothing.
Oh yeah, yours is 0 no matter what, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so you'll get 1 point back in the morning.
Okay.
Let's have Paiviki roll to pass the night.
Okay. I'm getting back my constitution. So that means I get back 2 points of hit points, right?
If you were down to -2 and you're back up to normal, yeah, you get 2, yeah.
All right. So I'm rolling to pass the night plus anything?
Yeah, you're in a safe area, so it's +3.
7 plus 3, so 10.
Great. The night passes without incident. Everyone gets restful sleep, even though it's a relatively short night because you're roused before the sun is even up. So everybody gets a point. Does anybody have? Oh yeah, Mirren has +1 con. Oh yeah. And Mirren, were you just down 1 point?
I went from 14 to 12, so I can gain 1, right?
Okay. Yeah, so you're back to 13, which gives you get the +1 modifier back, so you regain the hit point as well. Okay. So yeah, Paiviki wakes up super sore. I mean, everybody's sore, but Paiviki most of all. And Paiviki feels like just when you close your eyes, Jaspin or Upajai is kind of nudging you awake. Oh, wait. I have to stop sharing so that we can see that up close.
Paiviki,
Looking miserable.
after she climbed out of the river.
All soaking wet.
Yeah.
Great. There's the goat.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so in the pre-dawn, you sort of rubbing your eyes as you have to climb back on your goats and head out. So you are setting out, and this time I'll have Mirren roll.
Okay.
Once you leave the village, it's actually you're back in unsafe territory, so you're going to add +2 to this roll.
I'm gonna add my luck. So I rolled 4, so I can add. So I'll add 3.
So because you get +2 and then +1 for luck, is that what you're saying? Total of +3?
Yeah, is that okay to add luck after you said that?
Yep. It brings it up to a 7. Am I right?
Yes.
4? Okay,
Yeah.
great. You make a discovery.
Is that the thing is like luck potion that we can drink someday? Like we're just going to be down at the bottom at some point.
Roll a d6, please.
Sorry. Yeah. 5.
Okay. So you're so the sun has risen. Totally clear sky. You know, as dawn breaks and the sky starts to brighten, the cold of the night gives way to a warmer climb. You're still crossing this. Actually, you leave the wetland, then it becomes a little more like this again. And the path, the trail goes up a rise, and up ahead, sort of right across the trail, there's a large black, it's probably like a 6-foot wide black mark, like looks like a black kind of oval shape. Upajai kind of like slows the goat, and everybody kind of catches up, and you kind of carefully approach this shape, and from where you are, so right across the path, I wonder if I could draw this actually. Actually, here we go. Yeah, so here's the path, let's pretend. Right, so you're kind of going along that way. And there's this large black sort of shape right across the path. It's weirdly transparent, but don't know how to change that. Can you see that little mark I just made? So you approach that, and it looks like it's about 6 feet long. And from that point, you realize that there's another one over here, and another one over here. And then it dawns on Taimi that they are footprints. But what's weird about them is, yes, they are depression. There's depressions in the ground from some weight of whatever creature. But the grass and all around it is shriveled and black and curled up in a very unnatural and strange way. Like the stalks of grass that aren't crushed, the ones at the edges are kind of curling in weird shapes. Like, you know how like a fern will kind of curl up like that. So none of the grass around here naturally does that, but around these footprints, they've acquired this strange characteristic. And Upajai doesn't like the looks of this at all. And it's kind of looking, starting to look a little nervous.
I thought Udajai went back.
Oh no, they decided to go with you. Both of them. Yeah, Jasper was like not sure what to do, and then you had a conversation, and then she talked with Palvinder, and they agreed that he's going to stay there and wait for you guys to return.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I wasn't clear about that. So
had a misfire.
Easy.
Oof. I mean, this is getting Tiny's blood pumping. But we gotta be moving.
Okay, so just urging everyone on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if nobody else wants to do anything with that, then on you go. Over another rise, you actually Upajai halts again, like another hour later, and there's this mucky area of the path, and there's fragments of chainmail, and and sort of lying in the dirt next to this mucky area is a helmet. Let me think. Oh, and the crossbow.
Ooh.
But the strange thing, Taimi, the tracker hunter, is that the chainmail is in pieces. Like, that's the surprising part. Helmet's intact and away from the muck. Crossbow's intact.
Yeah.
But the armor is like, and there's no sign of the body.
Okay. And it doesn't look like it was bitten?
Do you dismount and examine? So you guys right now, you're on your goats, and you're kind of slowly making your way in kind of a semicircle, looking down to make sure you're not stepping in any other traps.
No, Taimi probably wouldn't dismount. I mean, I think she's got the thrill of the hunt again.
Okay.
I mean, I think that she's looking in. I think before she would be interested in that, she'd be more interested in looking in the tall grasses, because that's where she was told that these things like hang out and wait for you to step in their shit.
Okay, great. So you take in that information, but then you're totally like paying attention to the grass to like make sure you're not getting in anything. Great. So there's basically like a panning, 180-degree shot around this spot where the remains of the word keeper are, as you guys stay on your goats, right? Nobody else wants to get off? Check things out up close?
Should we load our crossbows, Taimi?
That's not a bad idea.
Okay. So these crossbows, you actually have to put them on the ground, stick your foot in the stirrup, and pull back. It's the only way that you can load them. I mean, a really strong person could probably hold it and pull it back like this, but the whole point of the that little handle at the end is to stick your foot in it so you can crank it back. That's why it's slow to use. So that would mean, I guess you could do it with your foot in the stirrup, actually. Yeah, I guess you could do that. You can load it while you're on your goat. So crossbow's loaded?
Yeah.
And at the ready?
If anything comes scurrying out of that grass, I want to be able to attack it.
Okay.
Didn't bring my spear.
But you pass this spot in the road. Oh yeah, the other detail is there's an iron manacle and a broken, like 3 links of a chain attached to it, which you assume must have been attached to Pelvinder somehow, and somehow he got out of it. So you continue on. There's one more roll to make, and this is going to be Paiviki setting out on the last leg before Sakagara.
Okay.
Unsafe, so you get +2.
If you have to go on without me.
If you roll badly.
All right. I rolled a 4.
Straight up 4?
Yeah. Oh, wait. 4 plus 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So 6.
Okay. You roll a d12, please.
We handle a hazard.
4.
That's not going to work. You can't get lost on this path.
Okay.
Roll again.
6.
Sorry, I'm trying to think.
That's fine. Take your time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm looking at the hazard table, and these are all suggestions, and I'm just going to tweak that result a little bit. So you're crossing down into a new area. That looks like this. So this higher sort of plateau that you've been traveling on shortly after the mucky spot where the slime devils did their business, the land descends and opens up into this looks like a very a low grassland broken by rivers and waterways. And as the road descends and you get to sort of flat ground and start to pick your way across this landscape, you cross a pretty shallow river. And Ubajai calls out and gestures to the right, off to the east, and you see a dark line. It just at first just looks like, from your perspective, just looks like some dark flat. Maybe it's like a tree line in the distance, some dark line, and then it starts to you sort of pause for a minute. Everybody kind of reins up their goats and looks, and the line starts to sort of grow in size, and you realize that it is a massive herd of some kind of large animal moving rapidly in your direction across the plain.
So we're down in the coastal plain, kind of the water, the flood zone.
Yeah, you're sort of down in this area here.
Yeah.
The equivalent of this area. You've crossed this. You're sort of in here, and then off to the right, far on the right, there's like a wall of some kind of animal life moving towards you. And you actually hear like a and then you realize that it's moving pretty quickly.
Wow.
Utah! Jaspinder calls out the name of that animal, the beast of burden that the Corkine had. Then you realize it's some kind of stampede of these creatures. And Upajai uses the only word she knows in your language, which is "go."
Yeah, let's go.
So Jaspinder peels off actually and rides back to get behind all of you. And Upajai just lights out as fast as she can, kicking her heels into her goat's ribs. And you all follow.
And we're trying to ride so we can get out of the way of this stampede. Is
Yeah,
that?
you're trying to get across this far river.
Yeah.
It looks like the stampede is within this zone, so you're trying to get across that before they sweep through.
Got it.
So in order to do that, you're gonna have to roll to ride your goat.
Yeah. It's been nice knowing you.
Oh no. Well, what's the
I'm gonna let you either roll. I mean, you can just make an argument for how you're gonna try to whatever you want to try to do. You can just describe how you are urging your goat forward. And actually, in this case, because you're kind of all trying at once, I think it's the person who's going to have the hardest time who has to roll, right? And I think that is probably Paiviki, just because of the difficulty the goat has carrying Paiviki. So I think that Muirin and Taimi will just be able to do it, right? As long as you don't hesitate, you'll be clear. But the question is whether you're going to hesitate, I guess. Like, is there any concern for Paiviki's safety? Is there anything you can even do about it? I don't know.
I think that what Paiviki was noticing trying to listen to the different goat riders and the different sounds that they would make. So she's going to try to imitate their commands as best as possible.
Oh, yeah.
So that when she hears that sound, if she can make it sound like the goat riders make it sound, that she'll get that goat to go.
Great.
Whatever that word is that they're using, or that sound.
Oh, excellent. So, I'm getting feedback of my own voice. What's that coming from? Is anybody else getting that?
No.
I heard it for a split second, but not
Weird.
anymore.
Great. That's so great. Okay, so Paiviki draws upon all the things that she's observed over the past 24 hours, and just tries to make the right sounds to urge this goat to save you along with it. That sounds like an intelligence roll.
All right. Finally, something she's good at. Oh, she rolled a 10 plus 2.
Oh, let's go.
Great. So, yeah, Muirin's across the next river. Upajai's over there. Taimi dashes across. And then there's a moment where the goat just sort of stops, and Paiviki's looking down at it and looking over at these animals rushing. And Jaspinder is still like behind you, actually not moving, just kind of like it looks like Jaspinder's actually trying to like distract or coax this herd away, like riding in circles and kind of doing various things to try to get the attention of the thing, which doesn't seem to be working at all. And then Paiviki remembers or draws upon that memory and barks the right commands in Venati, and the goat snaps forward, charges across the grass, and in two leaps is across the river.
Yeah, I
as
think
the
you have
herd.
to say the word and you have to slap it on the forehead twice. Like,
Okay.
hey, oh!
Yeah, so you make it to the far side of the river, and the herd passes. It's different than in this picture to the right here. It's sort of still flat land, so the herd kind of like moves off in that direction. There's usually a huge rumbling as it passes, um, and then but Jaspinner's not there, and everybody's looking back, and it takes like a full 6 or 7 minutes for this herd to pass. It's a lot of animals moving by. And then when it finally passes, you see Jaspiner on the far side, waiting, and then she crosses to meet up with you. And says, Paiviki, I heard what you said to your goat. You are the largest Venati I know.
That's a compliment. Paibiki responds with the Venati blessing of
Mukata.
Mukata. Yeah.
You are the largest Venati I know, but you are still too pale of skin to speak to us, Mukata. In time, perhaps. And then you guys make your way down this river and across more of these rolling hills. And by afternoon, you see the distant hill that is the town of Sakagara. And we're coming up on 11:30, so we're gonna call it, right? Am I right? I can't see my clock from where I am.
Yeah.
We're right there. And there is Sakagara.
Oh, did we not get him? Or
There's still some miles to go before you reach town, so that you might be able to. You might. I've just so you know what happened. Like, I basically rolled what happened to these guys on their journey. Like, I basically figured out their journey.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they ran into slime devils and all that all came out of me rolling to figure out what happened to them. So I kind of know what's happened to them. So they may, but as far as you know, they may still be not in town yet.
Okay.
You're still several miles out on the Sundown Road, and you can just see the town from the distance.
Yeah. We'll have to really hoof it. Yeah, and then we'll have to have a discussion outside of town with, like, I mean, then it's going to be really awkward to go in there with Word Keeper chainmail and Colkeen's fancy swords and stuff.
Crossbows and
Yeah. At that point, it might be beyond us, but no, this feels like a good spot to stop for now.
Okay. So wrapping up. Alignment goals.
No.
Anyone?
For me.
Yeah, got it. Mirren, did you happen to you're lawful, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that came up.
Okay. Paiviki?
I didn't disrupt any prevailing orders. If that's what you mean.
Oh, you're chaotic now, right?
Yeah.
I forgot that shift happened.
No, I've always been chaotic.
Oh, I thought you were neutral in the beginning, but your traits are covetous, selfish, and bold. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Memorable traits.
I was curious about the elves and about Muiren's feelings.
Oh, yeah, totally. Nice. You were curious. Um, I think Paiviki was bold.
Oh yeah,
Well,
just for going on this journey.
it's kind of bold to try to talk to the goat in a language that you think of, you know what I mean? As if you were,
Sure.
that was like a bold thing.
All right. Take it.
Donna, what about Mirren? What do you think?
I guess if you want to consider her meeting Akon, but then continuing on sort of
Oh,
shows her commitment, focus on the task at hand.
I think it was, that, and also it was respectful of you to stop and acknowledge him, right? Because you could have just charged on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Right.
you kind of did both those things.
Cool.
Yeah, so you get XP for that. Fighter is mark XP if you solved a problem with physical prowess. Solve the problem. Taimi held on to you with the rope.
Yeah, but I didn't make a roll for that.
Well, I mean, you don't necessarily have to make a roll. It's like solving a problem doesn't require you to make a roll. You just have to like put yourself out there. Making the roll gets you, you can mark traits and get XP for doing that if you fail. But trying to think of what other. That was the main problem, was crossing the river, right? And Paiviki avoided the herd with intelligence, not physical prowess. So.
Right.
That was the role. That was the role of the game. Getting a 12 there. That was.
Yeah. Lucky. I had a question about that. Is there an opportunity to multi-class? I remember we were talking about that before. And if so, would that change anything if there is an opportunity to do that?
Change anything as far as how you.
Well, like her stats or her hit die or anything like that.
Yeah, what happens is when you take that move, it's an advanced move when you multi-class. When you take that move, then every time you keep your same experience track that you have, but every time you level up, you decide to do it as one of your two classes.
Right.
And you would get that, so if you were a fighter thief, you'd probably you level up as a fighter whenever you're gaining hit points, and then level up as a thief whenever you want an advanced move.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd have access to both of these end of session XP things. So you could solve a problem with physical prowess or stealth or trickery and get XP for those things. But to get into the class, there's like stat requirements to multi-class, but you don't get any extra bonuses for taking the class. What you get is access to all the moves.
Right. I would potentially want a multi-class if you can do it on. She just made it to level 3.
Oh.
I mean, last session, but we just ended. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Multi-class as a wizard, but I don't know if there's any way that she could do that outside of like reading books and, at this point.
There'd have to be. I mean, I think the wording is. I think I just wrote. We can work that out between sessions.
Okay.
There was not each class has a limited number of classes that it can opt into.
Yeah.
And the fighter, I think only you could opt into cleric or thief.
Yeah.
But then I think I just changed it so magic user was another one there. And that would just require that part of the requirement is like you have studied spells, basically, before you
Right.
can take this move.
Okay.
So you do have to plan ahead a little bit for it, which you're already doing.
Yeah.
I don't think Weirin solved the problem with stealth or trickery, right? Didn't happen.
I didn't. I don't
Yeah.
think that happened either.
Did you make an exciting discovery?
Yeah.
Elf Village,
Mhm.
giant footprints.
Elf footage, giant footprints.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody gets an XP for that.
Giant footprints was hard to turn down.
Did you overcome a difficult obstacle? Yes. You guys crossed the rushing
Go
river.
right.
Everybody gets XP for that. And did you acquire some memorable booty? I don't think so. You had to put some balm on your booty, though.
That's right. A memorably sore booty.
For us.
All right. That's that.
All right.
End of session.
Yay!
Thanks, y'all.
Yay!
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I feel like we just saw all this cool stuff that we can hopefully get a chance to see, like on the way back. Like I want to spend time in that little village in the marsh. I want to see the elf village. I want to see the footprints. I don't want to see a slime devil. It's gonna be a hard pass.
Hard pass on the slime devil.
Yeah. Have you ever played any of the Dragon Quest games?
The video game.
The video games.
Gosh, I think a long time ago I might have played a little bit.
One
Yeah.
of the like iconic characters that has kind of followed through the series is a slime, and it's just like this droplet with a face on it. That's all I could think about. Just this like cartoony
Slime devil.
slime droplet.
Well, I can tell you that slime devils do not have faces.
Whoa.
Gross.
It's
Ooh.
not the same as a Dragon Quest slime. All right, good. We wrapped up by the half hour. That worked out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we can just.
And I think sometimes there's going to be some weeks where we can go till 9 my time, I guess midnight your time. But right now, this works really well.
Good, great. Yeah, no, we'll just try to keep it to 2 point. That's not a problem. We can totally make that work. Try to be a little more efficient in my. I'm sorry there was so much of me sort of describing stuff to you guys. It was a little hard to figure out, like a road trip.
Yeah.
Right, because you're on these goats. It's not like you can have characters can't really have conversations with each other. So a lot of this was just me saying what happens next, what happens next, what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, like I think if you had boiled it down to just like a couple of roles, that like we wouldn't have. I don't know. There was a lot of fun stuff there, and it by rolling that randomized stuff, we generated even cooler stuff than we would have otherwise if we had just been like, okay, make 3 Constitution checks,
Right.
or a Constitution check, a keeping company check, and a dexterity check. To
Right.
jump
That would be. I think that if you're like the first time you're crossing a particular area, then it makes sense to have a little more detail. But like if you make repeated crossings against, then you can, I think, easily boil it down to those few rolls.
Yeah.
To just cut to the chase and get it over with. But
Yeah.
I wanted to communicate some sense of the world that you were crossing.
There's always a chance that you could either make good time or make bad time based on what happened too.
Yeah.
And that would influence what your end goal would be.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that I didn't feel like there was the chance to make good time. Like in none of the set out things. I mean, I guess discovery is the only thing, but that's kind of like hidden very specifically.
I think the good time comes from not wasting time on obstacles, right? Like the flooded river was a delay. Like if you can avoid, and you were tempted by these footprints and you said nope, and there's the elf in the village and Donna said nope, like that you basically make good time by not spending time doing things that are off task, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Unless you found out that there was a shortcut or something like that. That would be another way.
Yeah, maybe that's a little too on the nose.
Well, and actually the way that this is all based on a map that I've actually drawn. And it's kind of once you got up the cliff, the trail is basically sort of a straight line without many possibilities for shortcuts.
Sure.
But that's certainly something to take into account.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in fiction we kind of made time by them encountering the slime devils.
Yeah, right, for sure. Without the slime devils, they would definitely have gotten to the next town.
Yeah.
Also, you were you were riding hard all day long, and there's no way you could possibly catch up with them if you weren't doing that. And Paiviki's suffering for it.
Yeah, I thought that if that happened again, then she might just conk out.
Yeah, I was worried you were going to make us make another Constitution roll.
that was never the plan. Just that first day on the goat. It's a hard day. It's probably more like a month in real life to get used to like riding on a horse, or maybe a week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Are we meeting next week? Do you guys know?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's on the schedule.
Okay.
So we'll plan on that unless there's an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
Groovy.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.